Knicks or bruises. We are back. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is time. I got my guy Shuttle in the building. I got the Queen in the building as well as always. Um, yeah, man. A couple things we're gonna talk about today: the Knicks starters versus the closers, and who's this year's dark horse on the team. Uh, um,
Mhm.
Last year I think we had a bunch of dark horses. You know what I mean? We just were going over like the specifics of the definition of dark horse. So we're gonna say a candidate or competitor with whom little is expected, but they still succeed or surprise us with with those with little expectation. So but let's start with the starters and the closers projected. Who do we think is gonna start? Who do we think is gonna close? Me and Queen, we just had a slight conversation off camera, you know, saying the starters we think are solidified, but she did pose a question that I actually brought up to Sim last week. And we're gonna just bring it up to the air and see if we could break that down. Queen, I'll give you the floor. You could bring it up, and we'll break it down.
My question was I think Mikal Bridges is going to start, but I did think, you know, does Devo continue to start just because of continuity? Um, so that question came up for me. I still think Bridges is going to start, but I think that's you know, something to think about.
Yeah, I think you can make a case for DiVincenzo and the fact of his performance last year. Obviously, one of the top shooters in the NBA in the whole league, and what he did last year. Does he deserve to start? Chemistry wise, or just for a easier adjustment for Mikal coming in and the team itself. You can make an argument for it. What's your thoughts on that, Shuttle? Obviously, I think the consensus is Bridges will start. But what do you think about the argument for DiVincenzo to start?
Listen, you're talking to a guy that can make an argument for anything.
Mhm.
I can make an argument for anything. So, yeah, there's an argument for it. There's a case for it. You got facts and information that would support finding a way to make it happen in an argument. But in the real world, that's a no.
So let's pose the question like this: as far as the starters, is there is there? I think the consensus is Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, OG, Mikal, Brunson. Is there an argument, or is there a world where you see any different starting lineup um to start the season? And
Zero.
I mean, listen,
Zero.
there are options, but I don't think they're going to happen. Like the one option we talked about would be Bridges over, excuse me, DiVincenzo over Bridges. I don't think that would happen. Another option would be starting small ball right off the top with Randle or OG at the center and putting Devo in the starting lineup. I don't think that's going to happen either.
yeah, I agree. Unless for some reason Robinson's not ready to go from the start, and it's by necessity, I agree. Starting lineup solidified. Um, yeah, it would shock me if there's a change in that five with everyone being healthy. Um,
And
that
not only would it shock me, like it'd be beyond. It's like this is past shock. This is like, yo, what are you really doing? Like you traded 5 picks to get this guy. This guy's a all NBA caliber defender. The wing stop combo with Bridges and OG to start games. Like, come on. Like, while there's an argument to start Devo, there's like twice as many arguments to not start him.
Yeah.
So, like let's not get too smart here.
well, to be honest, I think the stronger argument in changing the starting five will probably be going small and including Macau in that starting lineup rather than and alleviating Mitch Robinson and going small. I think there's a stronger argument for that than just Macau going to the bench and Devo starting.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah. And then that's where we might as well transition right into that closing lineup, because I think that's where, everything gets tricky. Everything kind of opens up, and it could really be, it could be any combination. You know what I mean? It could be a small ball combination. It could be, Devo in, Hart out. It could be Hart in, Devo out. You know what I mean? It could be a whole bunch of different options, and I think that's where we're really gonna see, what Tibbs is about, with how he adjusts. You know what I mean? Like these are gonna be the moments where, um, we're gonna figure out some things. What do you think is going to be our most used closing lineup? Because obviously, I don't think there's a solidified closing lineup, because, like I just mentioned, it's going to be based off of circumstance, game in and game out. But I guess I could pose it two ways. What do you think is going to be our best five? You know what I mean? So that may not be closing. That may be in the middle of the game at any point. And what do you think is our most used closing lineup? Down the stretch. Whoever wants to start.
I'll jump in. I think that the starting unit that we just talked about, the real starting unit, will be the best five, because you need some rim protection, which Mitch gives you. Having great wing defenders and having great two-way players at every other position, um, is the best combination of all the factors that you want to check off on your checklist. Now, um, I don't know. Like if I had to say, looking at the rest of the league, I'd say the small ball closing lineup could have Devo in it. It could also have Hart in it. And to your point, this is to what Tibbs is going to be able to do, what to show his value as a coach, to show that flexibility to, adjust as needed, that people were clamoring for so much the first couple of years, and seeming to have fell back. Now that you got more tools in the chest to play with, it gives you, like, this is probably the best 1 through 9, 1 through 10 team that Tibbs has ever had. So now things that you kind of put in your mind of how he operated, you got to kind of slide back and give him an opportunity. I mean, like, this five lineup is a real NBA championship caliber starting five lineup. And you got quality proven players coming off the bench in Hart and Devo and Deuce, and a player to a lesser degree that you can trust in Precious. So I think predicting what the percentages are going to be in the closing lineups, I think it's going to be very difficult, because it should be very much matchup based, and he's going to go with the quote unquote hot hand, whether it's offense, defense, or all around utilage. And like, I don't really have a set finishing lineup that I think is going to be the go-to lineup, because sometimes you're going to need Mitch, sometimes you're going to need Randle at the five, sometimes you're going to need Hart, sometimes you're going to need Devo, and it's going to play out differently, I think, on a game-to-game basis, and I think that's could potentially be what really um, catapults this team to that upper echelon, that on any given night it could be any given player, and you can't predict what the Knicks are going to do, because it's going to be so much versatility when fully healthy.
Good
Yeah.
stuff.
For me, I don't see a starting lineup without Brunson, Bridges, and Anobi and Randall. It's possible, but I don't see any one of them not closing a game. Now, Maybe if you need more shooting, you go with Devo. If you need more rebounding, you go with Hart, particularly if you're going small. But it's hard to imagine any one of those guys not being in the game down the stretch. And I think Mitch, I would play him down the stretch if it's not a close game, because if it's poor free throw shooting, if it's a close game down the stretch, you can't close with Mitchell Robinson. You're gonna have to go with a smaller lineup, and then Hart will probably be in to help with the
Rebounding.
rebounding. Um, then or maybe he'll go with Precious Randall and OG. I mean, it's possible to do that as well. But Randall, OG, Bridges, and Brunson, unless one of them is really stinking up the joint, it's hard for me to see them not, because all of those guys can score. Well, two of them can score and defend. Um, Randall and Brunson can score and have the potential to defend, to take it up a notch. Um,
And Randall and Brunson, I mean, not even probably our best facilitators as well.
right.
Um, Shout out to the chat. The chat, pardon me, Sherwin. He says our starters are our best five, or our best players. What do you guys agree? Our
That's
best
usually
five.
the case on any team, that the starters are the best players. Maybe San Antonio, when they had Manuel coming off the bench, you can argue he might have been better than one of the starters. But for the most part, that's usually the case.
No argument there. Let's see who else is in here. All right, Darkhorse. Last year we had a bunch of them, right? Um, Precious. Think he came out of nowhere. A lot of us weren't familiar with him. Deuce McBride. If I mean, some of us were familiar with him. Some of us, were just waiting for him to get his opportunity. But when he got it, stepped up and contribute. This year, I think we have the potential to have a bunch of dark horses as well. Obviously, Deuce is a lot more known. If you didn't know about him before last year, you know about him now. Whether that's from a Knicks perspective or outside of the Knicks, you know what I mean? I think he made his mark. Same thing goes for Precious. But who do you think is going to be the dark horse on this team this year? You got Tyler, little known about him. Obviously, you gotta really stick with the rookies. I think. I don't think maybe you throw Campaign in there. He might be able to have a dark horse presence if the opportunity presents itself. But yeah, who do you think? Let's start with last year. Who do you think was our biggest dark horse last year? And then who do you think will be the dark horse this year? For last year, I'm gonna go with Precious. For me, um, I think he came in when the opportunity presented itself. He showed exactly what he could do defensively, switchability. Not so much offensively. I think I wish we could have got more from him offensively, but the defense, the switchability, the I mean, he just came out of nowhere for me, and I give him the nod as the dark horse last year. Who do you guys say is the dark horse from last year? And then we'll get into who you think the dark horse is this year. And if we need clarification on dark horse, uh, it's a person who came out of nowhere, had low expectations or no expectations, but then succeeded when the opportunity presented itself.
Exceeding those expectations exponentially. I don't know, man. Like I gotta I to your point, right? A defining dark horse, right? was iHeart, was there really big expectations for iHeart? Were people down on him from what they thought was a subpar season the year before? Did they come in thinking what happened to his 3-pointers and he wasn't really hitting them? And kind of like, all right, well, whatever we get from this guy, we get. To lo and behold, this guy, like as soon as Mitch goes down, the month of January, like his stats were like he was like a top 5 center in the league. So for me, he's low key a dark horse. And considering how well he played, especially in the playoffs, come on, it's like it's hard for me to say he's not the dark horse.
I'll go a step further, Shuttle. When Mitch went down, people were wondering
the season was over. The season was over. The season was over. And also coming to the team feeling like, oh, another Villanova player. He's coming off the bench. You know, is he going to make a difference really? And even if you thought that DiVincenzo could do okay, he comes to the team. He's playing off the bench. Grimes is starting. You know what I mean? Like, especially after the first couple of weeks of the season, you're not thinking this guy's going to be one of the most lethal three-point shooters of the entire NBA, breaking Fournier's record for most three-pointers on the Knicks. So to me, you know, DiVincenzo also kind of like low-key dark horse, but I'm going to
go. No. I'm not going to let you put iHeart as your dark horse. You made a great argument, but you are not allowed to put iHeart as your dark horse, because if anybody had expectations for iHeart, if anybody was president of the iHeart fan club, it was you. So
but right now we represent the perspective of the people. This is the perspective of the Knicks nation, the Knicks community. Knicks.
Listen, he can be on the list. You just can't put him in there. So if Queens wants to double down on your argument, you know what I mean, that's cool. And
I was high on iHeart too, but I if he was the president, I was like vice president / treasurer.
Yeah. Listen, I'd have to say though, because it came mid-season, because he was the quote unquote throw-in, and there was really no expectations of Precious to come in and just hold it down. Some games playing 48 minutes. And even though, you know, he has some layup blunders that we don't really want to highlight too much. I mean, to go from basically a throw-in that we're not expected to get any minutes to ultimately turn into a power forward / center that, I mean, this season would have been a whole lot different if he didn't like level up the way he did. And pretty much he was like a 0 to 60. So with definition of a dark horse really kind of being little expectations to none and over exceeding, I'd have to say Precious, since, you know, iHeart, you know, I was told I couldn't select.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Deuce McBride. Coming into the season, I, for one, had zero expectations of Deuce McBride. And I know the fan base was really high on him because of his defense. But up to that point, other than his defense, I hadn't seen the shooting, nor had I seen the ability to run a team. Right. And so there was times when I didn't think McBride would last in the NBA for a very long time if his shooting didn't come around or his playmaking didn't come around. One or the other. You can't just be an undersized defensive player and have a long career in the NBA. You know, like, you can be a bad shooter, but you can defend and run a team. But so if you can't shoot, fine. Or if you can't run a team, you can defend and shoot. So, all right, well, this is an undersized 2 guard. Can't run a team, but something had to come around for him to be of use to the Knicks, um, other than just spot duty and playing defense. And the shooting came along. The shooting came along last season. So he was um, my dark horse. Still waiting for a little bit of playmaking, but that might not be his game. He came up big in the regular season. He started some games in place of Brunson. And I've said this multiple times. I read somewhere going into the playoffs, he never played more than 5 minutes in a playoff game, I read. And he was stout in the playoff games. And not necessarily about his shooting and scoring. And he did that for us as well. But it was that he didn't look lost. He looked like he belonged. He was where he was supposed to be, doing what he was supposed to do. And if the shot fell, it fell. If it didn't, it didn't. But it didn't look like he was making mistakes. So for me, McBride was the dark horse last season.
That's fair. Yeah, I think you can make an argument for a bunch of people. I love what you said, Shadow, about DiVincenzo as well. I think that was definitely a fair assessment. Moving into this year, I think the same can be said. I think the opportunity for Darkhorse is all over the place, right? When you talk about that center position being the weakest position on the team currently, where last year there was an argument, or at least a time period where you could argue that was our strongest position last year. So the opportunity for a dark horse to emerge from that center position is 100% there. Considering it's a big question mark, right? Can Sims come in and show some type of growth in any area that puts him in position to become a dark horse? I think there's a potential there, a possibility there. Can Precious come in and double down on his performance last year, and say, hey, I could be a full-time backup center. I could come in and fill in as a starting center if need be. You know what I mean? So I think the opportunity is there at the center position. The point guard position, that backup point guard position, it's up for grabs, if you will. Can Deuce double down in the same way that I was talking about with Precious, and solidify that backup point guard spot? Can he hone in on the playmaking? Because I think that's where we've heard he's not seen as a point guard. So can he change the Knicks' perspective and become a solidified point guard, and not just seen as a a two guard or a combo guard? Campaign, can he step up and steal that backup spot? Tyler, the creator, can he come in and earn that spot? So yeah, I think dark horse spots are up for grabs all over the place. I think those are the main two areas. If anybody wants to argue for another spot where it could jump in, by all means. But if I gotta pick one, man, I mean, I think it's tough. I'm gonna go with Tyler right now because I think he's probably the guy who has the least expectation. We probably, I mean, I know Queen doesn't think he's gonna jump in as a rookie and get some significant minutes. I think that's a fair assessment. Not knowing if that's possible, but if he does, I'm going with Tyler, just because what he brings as a point guard, a true point guard, we don't really have, right? I think Brunson is more of a score first. I think Deuce is more of a defender and scoring out that we've seen. Campaign, he can maintain those minutes as a backup point guard, but I don't know if he's a true facilitator, right? And so I think the combination of his facilitation, his basketball IQ, it fits right in. I think he has the biggest opportunity to be that or the biggest dark horse on the team come next year. Anybody agree, disagree, or want to go in a different direction. But that's my guy. I'm going with Tyler the Creator as the dark horse, the guy who comes in and makes the biggest impact off the least uh expectation, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, if you would put money down, that would be the greatest bet. I think I got to go with Sims. You know, and my theory is that uh, he's been here and has done so little, and you couple that with the fact that with Mitch's injury history, this means that it's nothing but potential opportunity for Sims.
Right.
So um, I just see that the road for him to have opportunity to over exceed is an easier road traveled than it is for Tyler. I think Tyler has the greater ability to over exceed, but I hate to put this out there, Tony, but really the only way that he's making that level of an impact is if Brunson's not playing. So even if he does play, like the playing time will be so minuscule as long as Brunson's healthy, it's not going to be that much time to be had. Whereas Sims is, like again, with Mitch's injury history, with him not playing that much minutes, even when healthy, you know, with Precious really, hopefully, playing some minutes at the four, and now it's not using OG at the four too much. I just think Sims has more room to get minutes, and he should be looking at this year as like a chance to truly level up and like lock in that backup center spot. Precious is here, but yeah, Sims. I mean, that could be your spot too.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. Sims is my cast iron black dark horse. uh, he'll, to piggyback off of what DJ Shuttle said, he'll definitely have more of an opportunity given Mitchell Robinson's um, injury history. What he does with it remains to be seen. But this is the opportunity, and I'm looking to see more than rebounds from Sims. Rebounding is good. Listen, Sims is on the verge of being out the league in my opinion. He's on the verge of being out the league. This is his fourth year, and I haven't seen much development. So part of it, for him is, yeah, I want to contribute to the team, but the other part of it, hopefully, is I got to make sure I get that next contract. And there needs to be an expansion in his skills, his offensive awareness, his defensive awareness. Sometimes he's not where he's supposed to be. Sometimes he looks like he don't know what's going on um out there. So yeah, chances are he'll get the opportunity. Can he rebound? Can he play good team defense where he knows where he's supposed to be? If he's not going to score the ball, can he at least move the ball along in the offense, which is a big thing for me. If you're not going to score, you got to be able to pass the ball to the next person instead of holding it for the person to come back and get it from you. That's like one of my pet peeves, um, with our centers. So yeah, I think like iHeart came out. iHeart had some skills. He had some skills though. And he got the opportunity. He took it to another level. Sims, I'm not sure if he has the skills on the offensive end. We saw some tape. They said he was injured the past off seasons. That's why he wasn't able to kind of work on his game, and that's why he's developing kind of slow. Well, he's had all off season to work on his game. Let's see what we're gonna get. Offensively. His free throw shooting got better between the first and second year. I'm not sure what it was last year, because he's another one. When you look at his college career, his free throw shooting went down every year
Mm.
in college. So, um, but that second year, he did a really good job for free throw shooting. Last year, I don't even know if he I don't even know if he went to the line 20 times. But yeah, Sims is my choice for crispy black charcoal dark horse.
Cast iron dark horse. um, yeah, I think a lot of the chat agrees with you guys. I think a lot of people I've seen a lot of Sims in the chat. Obviously, we've seen Deuce in the chat. Um, yeah, I think he's gonna have a fair opportunity to be a dark horse. You know what I mean? Um,
And he could push. He could push. He can win that position, and it's not guaranteed that Precious is going to be the backup five. Depending on how Sims shows out in training camp, he may have an opportunity.
no, that's a fact. That's a fact. Um, last thing I want to talk about, and I guess we can all pick maybe 2 or 3 players, and I want to just say, what do you think if this guy improves in this area? You know what I mean? Or this is what I want this guy to improve on. So pick a player and just say, what is it you want to see them come back with this year that maybe they weren't great at last year, or something that they could just polish up, and this could be a game changer for us.
Does it have to be reasonable? It has to be reasonable, right?
Yeah, let's keep it within reason.
Okay. Because I was about to say.
Or if you want to do one outrageous take, you can do one outrageous one, but don't give all 3 guys something outrageous. How about this? We'll start with the outrageous one. If you got one in mind, we'll start with the outrageous one. Let's get it out the way.
Mitchell Robinson comes back and he's able to hit a floater or a short jump shot, or even feels comfortable enough on the offensive end to swing the ball to the other side, that changes everything. Changes everything for the Knicks, given what he gives us on the defensive end. That's my outrageous wish.
It's outrageous that has to be outrageous, actually.
So
passing the ball along in the offense. Yeah.
That I mean, I definitely don't expect it.
Me either.
But Mitchell Robinson's on my list of guys with a. To me, this is reasonable. Improve the free throw shooting, and if he can do that, and I think he ended the year at 50% or maybe even lower. You know what I mean? So my expectation is really 65. You know what I mean? Like that's a huge jump. You know what I mean? From 50 or below 50 to 65. But I also think
57.5 for the season.
57 right? for the season.
Okay. I thought it was in the 40s.
I know at one point it was dropping. It was dropping tremendously. So
okay, 50. I mean, 57 to 65. I mean,
again, I think that's reasonable.
7 or something like that. So yeah, that's not bad.
That's reasonable. But I think that becomes a game changer, right? If he can come in and bring his free throw percentage up 10 points, you know what I mean? 8 points in percentage, I think that changes the game. I think we talk less about him not being on the floor at the end of games and being a liability. Yep. and things of that nature.
I'm sorry, Tony. I don't know what I was looking at. I stand corrected. He was at 40.9%.
So now my take just turned into the unrealistic.
Outrageous now. 40%. Come on.
Oh man.
41%. 41%.
41%.
Wow.
55 is still unacceptable.
This is his free throw percentage for his career by seasons: 60, 56.8, 49.1, 48.6, 48.4, 40.9.
All right, we
It's
going.
up and
I'm
down.
I'm
Maybe
going to
it's mental.
60.
Maybe it's mental.
I'm going to 60. You did it your rookie year. Get it get it back to 60. That still is not going to warrant him playing down the stretch. And you know what I mean, when he becomes a liability, but get it to 60 and keep it there, for the year. Man, that changed my take from reasonable to outrageous.
The 57% was actually his field goal percentage that I had said.
Okay.
um, who you got, Shuttle? And I guess you could start outrageous because I got my outrageous out the way as well.
My outrageous take would be that Randle um gives us great defense, great hustle plays, and doesn't doesn't play as the quote unquote star that has to reserve his energy and not do the dirty work. You know, I need Randall to do the dirty work and to become a true Windex man. Like I think this team goes to another level if Randall can up his rebounding averages to like 12, 13 rebounds a game,
Wow.
which I think
It's possible.
is very possible if he came with the commitment that that was who he needed to be to give this team the greatest chance to elevate. And I think you go into the season looking at, well, what can I do to be the best fit on this team this year? What I needed to do, who I needed to be 4 years ago, 3 years ago, was then. But now, considering all the pieces that are around him, the missing piece from what he brings to the table is elevating his rebounding. And I'm not saying he's been poor. That's not the point. The point is on this team this season, we need him to be a 12, 13, 14 rebound guy. Like we need him at 12 rebounds minimum. And the way, the aggressive way he plays, the bully style, it to me is just a level of focus that's what he needs to do. And I think it's outrageous because I don't think he's gonna see himself as that guy, which is why it's my outrageous take. But I feel like that if he was in his right mind, this is what he would be looking to bring to the team this year.
My
You
only pushback is that you have it as outrageous. But go ahead, Queen.
you you don't think, Shuttle, that we still need him to be that secondary scorer behind Brunson? Because I don't really see OG as someone that can create for himself and others. Mikal Bridges made I think can do it, but he's not somebody that commands a double team, not at this point in his career. You don't think that we still need Randle to be that guy on the offensive end? And if so, because kind of what I'm hearing, correct me if I'm wrong, is that he should just now be a defensive player, rebounder. Don't worry too much about scoring, like that his entire role should change. And I guess my question is, do you think that we got more people who can score? Don't get me wrong. But do you think we have another secondary scorer behind Brunson? Most teams have two.
I think that the floor for Bridges and the floor for OG is so high that the need for Randall to be the go-to as much as he has had to be, like that has reduced significantly. It's not to say that, like, to me, it's like, all right, if we're in a pinch or we're in the fourth quarter, all right, cool, we're gonna throw it to you, but like the need to be the guy all game the way he's had to do it, for the past 4 or 5 years, I don't I think it's changed drastically.
I agree with that. I don't. He may not need to score as much, but in terms of the pecking order, I still
Mhm.
see Brunson, Randall, Mikal. Um,
I don't think he's moved out of second in the pecking order.
Right.
I just think that having him, put it this way, if he became more of a Windex man, the need for him to score would not be as high because it would create more opportunities for the rest of the team.
This is my pushback. This is my pushback, and it's a small one. I think Randle is a willing passer, so
Yep.
I think having Bridges and having Anunoby on the team is not gonna do anything but help. But I think on any given team, you have the players who stir the drink, and then you have your players who play off of those players. And in my opinion, Brunson and Randall stir the drink. And Ananobi, Devo, Bridges, until proven otherwise, because I do think Bridges has upside and he can very well wind up being a number 2 or even a number 1. But for right now, I think those guys are going to play off of Randall and Brunson, particularly OG. I just don't think he has enough assertiveness, not
Mhm.
necessarily the game, but the assertiveness. Mikal Bridges, man, we might be having a different conversation in 3 months that how he's the number 2 option on the team. I do think he has that upside. Don't get
Uh,
me wrong.
yeah, very, very, very much so.
Yeah.
But just to clarify, just because I like two things can both be true. Like in no words did I ever say anything about Randall taking a back seat. So I never said that, and I didn't really mean to suggest that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But
Which
but
would be okay because some people believe Bridges is the second guy on this team already.
Mhm.
I believe by the time we get to the end of the season, that will be the overall consensus. And even if it's not this season, it's definitely where the future is for the team. But speaking for right now, in the moment in this upcoming season, I do think coming into this season, Randall, to Jay Williams' point, be yourself, do what you do. But again, this was the outrageous take. So the outrageous take is Randall, can you get 13, 14 rebounds a game? And I think that, being the guy getting the offensive boards and the putbacks, getting the defensive rebounds, starting the break, getting it out to Bridges and OG and Brunson, you know, getting them running and gunning, I think changes the dynamic of what the team can be. Like it doesn't only have to be Randall being effective in the manner that he has been.
Right.
And it's not to say that he can't still continue to do most of all of that. I mean, I've been a Randall supporter, so I'm definitely not trying to put Randall.
I know.
Yeah, I'm not trying to put like Randall like, yo, you gotta chill, you gotta relax, let the new guys, and play with the new shiny toys. I just think, like I said, I just think the rebounding is could be potentially a weakness on this team. So because I think it could be a weakness, I'm just imploring him to take ownership of this area of weakness and say, I'm gonna make this a focus and put some outrageous numbers up. That's all.
Here's where I agree with you. If we're utilizing small ball lineups a lot more, then yes, he's going to need to put an emphasis of higher focus on increased rebounds. But as a in that starting unit, you know what I mean, with Big Mitch there, I don't think rebounding is necessarily a
Respectfully,
weakness.
Not a really good
Mitch ain't been that great of a rebounder. Let's
defensive rebounder.
he's
What I'm saying is I wouldn't say rebounding is a weakness when you got Randall and Mitch on the floor together. Where I agree with you though, when in the small ball lineup, yes, he's going to have to put an increased focus on rebounding.
But Tony, it is a weakness because Mitch is not a good defensive rebounder. Now, what we're hoping now that we got wing stoppers, he won't have to. For those who felt that his rebounding was poor because he was all, I never felt that. But for those who felt his rebounding was poor because he had to go out to the wings, he don't have to do that anymore. So he should be in better position for his defensive rebounds to go up. I never thought that was the reason, but that won't be an excuse this time. So his defensive rebounding should go up, and if that's the case, then him and Randle should be enough.
Fair, fair. Man, I lost my whole train of thought.
Sorry, sorry, sorry.
Oh, no, we get, but no, I had similar expectations for Randall, on the defensive end, as far as uh um a new focus on that end, without necessarily taking away from anything, any of the areas that he thrived in. But I do think that's gonna have to be a increased focus for him to come this year. I wouldn't necessarily consider it an outrageous take, because even with that, he has help in those areas, right? So it should become an easier job. We're not asking you to take on the hardest defensive assignment on any given night. All we're asking you to do now is to focus on your matchup. And I think if he does that, that becomes a game changer for us. Again, with that lack, with Mitch as the only perimeter defender, we're gonna need all hands on deck. I'm sorry, interior defender. We're gonna need all hands on deck, with the perimeter. And, even though we have Wingstop on his team, so for Randall, that's my area of focus. You know what I mean? That's my thing that I want him to come back, improve though. And we've seen it from him when he locks in as a defender. He's not a bad defender at all. It's just a matter of how often and when you lock in. So come in locked in on a defensive end. I think everything else comes a little bit easier this year. All the things you were saying about Randall, I think you could also say about Brunson, for the simple fact that it's going to be easier for him. Like utilize the pieces surrounding you. And just to speak on Brunson for a quick second, um, prior to Randall going down, he didn't have the usage. You know what I mean? That he did. That was a necessity for him once Randall went down. So I think by default, I mean, you got Randall coming back, Brunson's usage goes down a little bit. You got Mikal coming in, Brunson's usage goes down a little bit. But you got to utilize that and make the game easier for you. And I think that will be the case. The game becomes easier because you have Randall back. You have the addition of Mikal. And so I think that by default, I think all that stuff kind of just falls in place.
I just want to piggyback off of Randall. Just to double down on what both of you are saying, Randall's usage is going to come down as well. So if his usage comes down, he should have more energy for the defensive end.
And
Randall could be a two, and he could be, I'm not going to say elite, he could be a very good two-way forward in this game. He can rebound. I've seen his one-to-one defense. I've even seen, I know there's questions about his team defense, but I've seen games in which he hit his rotations. So I'm not sure what the inconsistency is when it comes to team defense. Is it schemes? Is it he's just tired because his usage is high? I'm not sure what it is, but that would change everything for the Knicks if Randle became a consistent two-way player. Because now you got the wing stoppers, you got Mitch, and now you got Randle playing consistent defense. That changes a lot. That changes a lot for the Knicks. So that's something that I think we're going to be good anyway, but that would make us even tougher.
Shout out to Uncle Fulio in the chat, long timer brother. Hope everything is well. He said Brunson's usage was higher than Randall's when he played with Randall. I wasn't arguing that. I was saying his usage went up when Randall went out. By necessity. That's all I was arguing. I wasn't saying Randall's usage was higher. when they played together. Um, who who else? Who's it on? I know I did Randle. That was my guy. Who? Anybody else you wanna?
Well, we went around with the outrageous takes.
Yeah. We on. I did my outrageous and I did Randall as a. I don't know if anybody wants to consider that outrageous, but to me, that was my normal
Oh,
take for Randall as focusing, locking on the defensive end. I think everything else kind of falls in place. But if he can do that, that's a game changer for us, 100%.
Yeah, I'm the same. I had outrageous with Mitch, and what I said about Randall was my what do you call it? The
Yeah,
even take or
realistic.
realistic.
So go ahead, Shadow. It's on you. Who you got?
man, I mean, like the only guy. Well, I wouldn't say the only, but the person that I really just look at as the X factor for this team leveling up is Mitch.
Man,
Right?
you got him as a realistic and
Yeah. Like, like to me, this season and Eastern Conference Finals and championship, it all hinges on. To me, it hinges on Mitch. It
Wow.
hinges on Mitch. I mean, let's just put the health aside, right? Like, I don't want to even. That's another outrageous take. Mitch, can you play? Can you play 70 games? You know what I mean? That's another outrageous take. So, I'm doubling down on my outrageous Mitch take. But listen, I know Steph said it kind of sort of as an outrageous take, but yo, can I get one post up move? Can I just get one move? You don't gotta use it every game. You don't gotta score 15 points a game. Like you can score 6, 7 points, 8 points still. Score your regular 8 points a game. Can you get a move? Okay, oh, that's Mitchell's move. That's the move he got. It's an up and under fake. It's a hook shot. It's a jump hook.
Mm.
It's something, anything where you can say he worked on that. He took his game and his craft seriously, and he came back doing something that he wasn't doing before, like the majority of players that are starters in the NBA do.
so this is your realistic though, and
Coming,
that's it.
coming back, coming to the season with one move. Yes, that's I'm gonna feel that's not outrageous, and I think I said it, so that's why I'm doubling down on what I said. It's outrageous to say that that's outrageous, so I'm gonna leave it as a normal date. All right,
Hey, I'm rocking with you, man. I don't know if I expect it, but I'll tell you what, would it be a game changer for this team if Mitch could come back with one move, a hook shot, I mean, whatever it may be? Absolutely,
get the ball,
100%.
get the ball at the foul line, fake, fake, one dribble, bang it.
Wow.
Can we just get one move? One move that we see a handful of times, enough to be like, wow, okay, Mitch has clearly worked on that move. Like that's Mitch's move. That's his go-to. Yeah, you can have one go-to move. Come on, Mitch.
It's been
Listen,
5 years.
right
And
right now, right
pass
now
the
we
ball, Mitch, to
right now we
somebody
at
other than the person
championship.
who passed it to you.
Right now we at championship level. We're on the brink of being able to compete for a championship. If you didn't do it before, you got to do it now. The only Mitch needs to use the glass. Yeah, use the glass. Yo, the only thing now is like he's injured. So it's like, all right, now you injured. So now you can't even practice a move. I don't know, man. Like I feel like I feel like everybody else, they do what they do already. Like there's no player, like this is why it's kind of hard with the dark horse. Like there's no player, everybody's already proven. Mitch aside, the other four players are proven. Like, what can you really ask them to do? Like,
OG to stay healthy.
yeah,
And I mean,
that's kind of
OG's
on
my
the outrage.
next pick, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, as health aside, right?
Health
I'm
is
I'm putting health to the side, and like the performance, the game, like how you play, like yo, OG cool. Like you play within the confines of the team. You get in the corner, boom, you hit your threes. They leave you open, all right, boom, you bang it on MB when you need to. All right, cool. I've seen enough with OG. He does what he does. Bridges, yo, yo, Bridges, can you elevate your game to should give me 40% from three, and do some more facilitating, average 5 assists a game, and take some of the facilitation requirements from Randle, allow him to be more of a, just a low post scorer and rebounder. That would be a nice, I think, realistic expectation. Bridges, can you give me 4 to 5 assists a game? And take some of the Randle role away from Randle. I think that's possible and reasonable. But everybody's proving Hart. You're proving, like, what am I ask more from Hart? Like, let's
Maybe
turn
more consistent
let's turn
3-point shooting.
let's turnovers. Let's
Because
turnovers.
Well, let me go to my next guy, and that's OG. And Queen, you touched on it, and it's really about aggressiveness, assertiveness, right? If we talk about game changers, what game did he get hurt in?
Was it game
Whatever,
2 or 3?
whatever game that was, that's the OG I want, minus the injury, game in and game out. Because I think that was the best OG we seen on his team. And that says a lot, considering we've seen a good number of games from him, and we know what the record is with him, without him. We know how the team looked with him and without him. So if we can get that mindset, game in and game out, from OG, where we see him aggressive on with the ball in his hand, making moves to the rim, you know what I mean? Like, to me, that is a game changer. And it's not about forcing it or being selfish. To me, I think he can do it and find that within the flow of the offense, and it changes everything. It opens up the floor, not just for himself, but with these other players around him. But yeah, if we can get what is it? You said game 2?
Game 2 or 3. I forgot what it was when he went down.
For some reason, I think it was game 3. But if we get game 3, OG, minus the injury, night in, night out, man, oh man, I think that changes. I think that changes everything. Now we start looking at him as another, potential 20-point scorer on this team, night in and night out.
Do you think, Tony, how would you know that's the case for him? Would you just look at his approach to the game or his assertiveness, or would you look more to how much points he scored? Because I'm not sure how many shots he's going to get per game on this team.
I mean, I'm not looking for him to score 20 a night, but what I want is, and it's gonna be, is honestly, for this team, it's going to be very tricky for guys to find that balance between letting the ball flow and not trying to be selfish. But I don't want anybody on this team turning down shots. You know what I mean? Like, he's more than capable of obviously shooting the ball, so don't turn those down. And I don't think he did that much, but I want to see him able. Instead of always giving the ball up, put the ball on the floor, because you're capable. You know what I mean? And put pressure on the defense. So that's the mindset I want each and one of our 4 offensive guys, starters. I want them to put pressure on the defense every play. Right. Every opportunity they can, put pressure on the defense and make the defense react. And I think that, to me, that's going to be that another game changer for this team, because he's more than capable. You know what I mean? Mikal, I don't think we have to worry about him having that mindset of, being aggressive, being assertive. OG might be the only one in that, out of the offensive guys that we got to worry about just always having your foot on that gas. You know what I mean? And not giving the defense a break. So it's not necessarily about scoring 20 a game, you know what I mean? But it's about not turning down opportunities, not no not too many extra passes. You know what I mean? Like the extra pass might hurt us at times. So, but that's going to be a thing for the team. But I think he's the guy most that fits into that the most. You know what I mean? I don't think Randle's going to be turning down many opportunities,
Right.
unless it's a mental thing where he's just just trying to fit right in and that aspect. But other than that, man, I think OG's the guy that if you want him to just turn it up a notch, you might have to push him to do it. You might have to ask him to do it. And I just want that to be a little bit more natural assertion.
Yeah.
If that answers your question, quick.
Yeah, it does. It does. His approach has to be aggressive. The points can vary from night to night, but
Yeah, they gonna be what they gonna be.
no, I get it. I get it. I get it. I'm gonna go with Hart. Um, he's been working with a shooter, a shooting coach, and there's games when he shoots the three well. There's games when he doesn't. There's games when he lets it fly. There's other games when he's hesitant. To your point with OG, where the shot is there for him to take, and he'll hesitate. In that second unit, I would think Tibbs is going to have to run somebody who can get their own shot, whether that's Bridges or Randall, because most of the guys in that second unit probably need to play off of somebody. But let's just say Bridges is running with that second unit. McBride can shoot. Um, but other than that, and Devo, keep forgetting about Devo. And Devo can shoot. If you got Hart who's shooting as well, that makes that second unit really tough. Precious, I mean, we could talk about him too. If he he'll take the three, but if he ever gets that up to a decent percentage, that would change everything in that second unit as well. But I think Hart, with what he already does, if he's less hesitant on the offensive end and he's shooting the 3-point at least even just 33. Shuttle, can you check and see what it was last season? Even at 33%, which I believe, which would be below average, that changes a lot.
I want to say he was at 24. You talking about Precious
No.
or Hart?
Hart.
Okay. I'm not sure where Hart was.
You talking about now he's a legitimate two-way player.
31%.
Oh, he's just talking 2%. But it's the hesitation that he has to get out of his game.
Hey man, he's not feeling it. He's not feeling it. I mean, the prior year he shot on the Knicks. He shot 52% from three. So but going through his career, he was by season 39.6, 33.6, 34.2, 32.6, 32.3, 37.3, and he was actually at 30% with Portland the year he was traded to New York. So I mean, he's a career 34%. And if you took out that hot streak with the Knicks, he's probably back more 2%, range. So 31, which he shot last year, is pretty much on par. But to your point, sometimes you gotta let it fly. Kudos to him though for being a team player, saying, "Listen, I'm just not gonna be here just chucking up bricks."
Right. Right.
Because there are times when he feels like it looks like he's doing a heat check, and he will let that thing go. So I think he has a fair assessment of how he feels and if he's feeling it, not feeling it. But if you work on the shot, you improve it. Hopefully that feeling when you are feeling it is a little bit more.
Yeah.
He could potentially be an all-star. Okay.
Feel you.
I respect it.
Daniel says OG Anunoby is the darker horse on this team. He could potentially become an all-star. I mean, I think Mikal hasn't been an all-star either, right?
No.
So we got two guys that could potentially, you know, catapult themselves into an all-star spot.
And
I
Tone,
seen.
please, Tone, I want to jump in.
Go ahead.
Atlanta
I got
Hawks.
some comments I'm about to find real quick. Go ahead.
Atlanta Hawks a couple of years ago when they had that Eastern Conference Finals run season, they had 4 All-Stars, I believe. Right? That's what I'm looking for this New York Knicks team. So I'm a double down on my guy that just made that last post you shared. OG, let's unlock that code. Bridges, you've been on the cusp the last 2 seasons of showing all-star potential. This is to me, this is everything is lining up for the Knicks this season.
Right.
Let's go. Why not? 4 all-stars, Tone.
It's gonna be tough, man. Because if we got 4, you know, Boston potentially got 4. That's 8 of the 15 spots. That's half the all-star roster right there.
For us to get 4, we in first place. So
Yeah, for sure,
they ain't
for
gonna get
sure,
4.
for sure,
We in first place. They ain't getting 4.
for sure.
But
That's a fact.
If we
And you got to take Porzingis out of that eligibility to become an all-star with him not playing till December. So yeah, they can't get 4. I don't see somebody else on that team stepping up in his absence to be an all-star.
Well, they have Holiday, White, Brown, Tatum. I'm not suggesting that they will, but they got 4 players. I mean, three of these guys were on the Olympic team. So
I don't know. Josh, man, I wish he was in here because you got some comments that's, you know, controversial. if I'm gonna use a word, he says if Bridges can be a bucket, like a threat to ISO draw double teams. He was saying like he's worried about the spacing with Bridges. I mean, he is a mid-range king, but he can shoot the 3 ball. But I think the only reason, and again, this, you know, I'm a Mitch guy, but the only reason the spacing is even a question with the starting 5 is not Bridges, is Mitch. Like Bridges doesn't hurt the spacing. And then he says it's over for him to become that dude. I disagree. I mean, when you say that dude, if unless you're talking about the number 1 option, yeah, that's probably over. But I think we're gonna get a good mixture of Brooklyn Bridges, no pun intended, and the Suns Bridges. So I think he gets back to the shooting splits that he had in Phoenix because the job becomes a little bit easier and he doesn't have to create for himself as much. But at the same time, he's one of those guys, along with he's one of those guys that can get hot, and then guess what? He starts to get double teamed. I don't think they're gonna double team him night in, night out, possession in, possession out. But he's more than capable of getting hot to the point where they got to put 2 on him.
And I think in order for him, like we talk about that he can potentially be a number 2 option, that's when you'll know. If he's drawing double teams, he's taking that stand.
My corrections. He was saying if Bridges becomes that all-star dude, it's over.
Yeah.
And the Knicks are winning the chip. Fair enough. See, this is why communication is always the key. You want to do one last guy and we get out of here?
I don't know if I have. I mean, this is like small stuff. Like, can Devo hit a mid-range shot? Like, can he be more proficient in the mid-range? He's usually the 3, or he goes all the way to the basket. I don't know if that changes things for us if he develops a mid-range. If he develops a mid-range shot.
I got one for Devo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just double down on you. But can he lead that second unit, right? To the point where, right now we're automatically assuming and projecting that we're gonna need uh one of them starters on the floor,
Mhm.
with that second unit. And I'm not saying we don't, or I'm not saying going 10 deep, which again I'll save that for my next take. But can he maintain? Can he lead that second unit, and we not have to rely on Bridges running with the second unit, or Julius or Brunson? Just throwing that in there. But continue, Queen.
No, that was it. And I guess, and I think McBride playmaking, but that's not his game though. But if that changed, that does change things for us, because now you have somebody who's defensive minded, can shoot the three, and can um run the offense. Um, but again, I don't think that's something. I think we're gonna be okay even without it.
No doubt. You got one last one, Shuttle.
Um, nah, I think I got them all out already.
All right, my last one. Trying to think how to word it, but I'm going with Tibbs, and it's really uh is it find a balance. I just want Tibbs to play to open up open up his mindset, right? Utilize this full roster to his capability. Um, Maybe not wait until you have to lean on guys to kind of give guys they short stints of opportunities. This is the deepest team that I think Tibbs has ever coached. Um, so let's not wait until health permits, or health is the reason why we gotta utilize some guys. It don't gotta be night in and night out. But you know, throw some guys in randomly. When the opportunity is there, because I think the
Yeah, out of the
opportunity will
rotation,
be there.
out of
Um,
out of the rotation, you mean?
I well, let me put it like this. I do want the rumors are out there that he wanted to use 10 last year. You have the opportunity to use 10.
Who's
And
the
when I say 10, I don't mean 10 every game, but your rotation could be 10 deep, but you still play 8 this game. You know what I mean? Like, so I want the rotation to be 10 deep with 3 of those guys going in and out. You know what I mean? Like, one guy may not play tonight, but tomorrow might be that might you might have the opportunity to play, and it be based off of who we're playing night in and night out, because some guys' strengths are going to be better suited against this team's weakness tonight. Tomorrow you might have to utilize another guy's strength. So just go ahead, push back.
No, 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 no. Because we talked about that too. On the weekly show with Ajay. I think it's the balance between continuity. Guys got to know these are the people that I go in the game with. This is when I usually go in the game with. So there has to be some continuity. It can't just be we gonna change things from game to game depending on what the other team who's playing on the other team. But I get there has to be some flexibility. So the balance between continuity and
Flexibility.
and flexibility has to be there. But I think the other thing we have to keep in mind when we talk about how deep this team is, I don't care how deep we are, they are serviceable second team, but the starters are still the better players on the team. So we can't get into this idea that you could just substitute the bench player in and you're going to get the same results you would have got if the starter was in there. I don't think, at least not consistently. So what are we talking about when we say inflexibility? So if you're saying if Randle is having an off night, keep Hart in there a few more minutes or Precious in there a few more minutes, I can get with that. Or if OG, if we need more shooting, go with Devo and Bridges instead of OG. I can get with that. But playing a 10th guy, taking minutes away from your better guys.
Well, one thing we know about Tibbs, he's never gonna do. You know what I mean? Like he's never gonna go completely left with it, and that's not what I'm asking. It's more to the point of what you're saying. He's gonna have these decisions that he's gonna have to make game in and game out. Like we talk about that closing lineup. Like obviously we expect both Hart and Devo to be in the rotation, but we don't know which one is gonna be in the closing lineup if either. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I'm not. I have faith in Tibbs. I think he'll figure it out. He's definitely good at knowing who plays well with whom and finding those combinations. But I just think that now he has more options to figure out these combinations. There's gonna be more combinations that work now, potentially than ever before. You know what I mean? And so, like you said, just balancing that flexibility that is there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? From the start of the season, it's there. I'm not saying go play all 15. I'm not saying play 10 every night, but you got to know, maybe evaluate your things at 10 games now instead of 20. You know what I mean? Because you have that flexibility. And maybe not have a hard stance when you make a change. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I just think he has more options now. Utilize them.
Yeah. I have just how far you going. I be hearing some people like everybody should just play 32 minutes. We so deep right now. You know, nobody should have to play over 30. I'm like,
well, I don't know. I'm just gonna just say this, man. Like, I think if you go through every Tibbs roster, and I challenge people to do this, right? Go through every year he's coached in the entire NBA. Compare this roster to the other rosters he's had. And then think about what your expectations could or should be on him this season and how he utilized the players. You know, I agree. Tibbs is super consistent, and knowing I'd rather consistently have 8 players playing than randomly have 10 and 11 and 12 people playing. And the fact that the quality of players, his starting 5, this is the best starting 5 Tibbs has ever had. And then on top of that, you've got 3 players coming off your bench that have already played for you, and like, he loves Hart. He like Hart is like a fourth son. Hart is like a son, the way like their relationship is. It's like, you can ask for more from Josh Hart other than better 3-point shooting, but effort, minutes, commitment, rebounding. Like, this guy's doing above and beyond. Devo led the league in one of the top 3% of shooters in the league. You can depend on him. He's done it in the playoffs. Right. Deuce has been steady and ready even when he was getting 5 minutes a game.
Yeah.
So he's got his best starting lineup ever, and he's got 3 players on the bench he could trust. And he's got Precious, who also delivered a lot for him. So, I mean, you couple those 9 players, like, he could trust all. Bridges is the only new guy, and he's a high character, high quality player. And the remaining 8 players have already proven themselves.
Right.
So, like, I don't have no questions for Tibbs and how he's going to handle it, because he's got great tools in his chest to work with, and he's already used them. So, I don't know, Tone. You coming for Tibbs? You're coming for Tibbs a little bit.
Nah, I'm not coming. This is a reasonable. You know what I mean? All I'm saying is, like you're saying, he has all the tools. He has more tools in his toolbox than ever before. Just utilize them when needed, and figure and maintain You know what I mean? Like,
what has he done? What has he done though for that to even be a question with the players that we're talking about? Bridges,
here, I'll give you a prime example.
Okay.
And this is not a knock on Tibbs, but the reality is the reality. Everybody that stepped up on the Knicks, they stepped up after the absence of somebody, right? So like Ihart's ascension was coincided with Mitchell Robinson going down. So in my brain, he could have ascended sooner, right? Had he been utilized a little bit sooner. I think
he was playing. It was
a 50-50 split between them, and he got utilized a little bit more. But my point is, we didn't see the ascension, other than maybe you. But we didn't see the ascension.
The reason why we saw Hart's ascension though is because he got more minutes, and with more minutes came more confidence. So the only way that was going to happen is if Mitch played less minutes. And I know you're not imploring that Tibbs should have been playing Mitch less minutes.
And then also Randle went down. So that also helped Ihart because his role changed.
When Randle, I agree.
A facilitator.
The same thing could be said. I mean, again, with Precious, like his ascension only happened with the minute increase. You know what I mean? Like when his minutes was spot duty, his production wasn't as good. So, but there's a balance in figuring that out and finding that out. You know what I mean?
The other thing
I don't know what you mean, Tony, because Ihart was already playing split minutes with Mitch. So unless you're saying, wow, Mitch should have been sitting more and Ihart should have been playing more, is the only way that could have even really happened for Ihart.
The other thing I would say is don't underestimate a player's psychology in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody goes down and how they now refocus or really lock into Mitch is down now. I got to hold this down. They really counting on me. And so internally, a player may step up as well. So some of it is the opportunity. A lot of it is the opportunity, obviously. But the other part also is I got to step up now. Like I got to really focus in. Same thing, with McBride. If Brunson is out or we going into the playoffs, I got to really focus in. So opportunity is part of it, but I think the other part of it is digging deep within to give more as well.
Right. Tony,
but the flip,
when Steph can't make the show and it's just me, I'm like, yo, Steph's not here. I got to step up. I got to really bring it. You feel me?
I feel you, and y'all making great points. And again, I'm not trying to make it a knock on Tibbs. To me, it's really about it's really about there is a balance. There is a thing that he's gonna have to figure out there. You know what I mean? And on the flip side, for those players, like you said, when they know that opportunity is in front of them, that might give them a boost, right? A boost and help. But these players are now they're gonna have to figure out, which is the hardest thing to do. How do I perform in a shorter stint? How do I, how do I give that same impact and effort when I'm not getting 30 plus minutes a night and I might get 10 or I might get 5. So again, the same can be said with Deuce and his ascension. When the minutes went up, the production went up. Same for Precious. So again, it's not just a Tibbs thing, and credit to Tibbs for having these guys in that mindset of being ready to step up. You know what I mean? Like he preaches that night in and night out. You know what I mean? And talks about it when guys didn't play. You know what I mean? Like, all right, well, I know he's going to be ready when his opportunity comes. So it goes hand in hand. And again, it's not something that I'm worried about per se. But it's definitely something on my radar.
Not the only one out. You're not the only one who's who is saying this in the fan base. Some are saying it for different reasons. Some are saying it in terms of extending the rotation to 10 instead of keeping it at 8 or 9. Some are saying it in terms of minutes. You don't have to play guys so many minutes now because we're so, so deep. So people are saying it for different reasons. And some people are saying it for your reason. Make sure you're matching the rotations to what the other team um, is doing. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you're not out there by yourself.
It was an observation, Josh.
Yo,
I ain't
Josh,
got that.
Josh, you saw that. You saw I was on it though. I was on
I
it.
have
I'm not here for it.
I have no criticism of Tibbs at all. Like I've been rocking with him forever. I'm glad he's extended. Oh, but yeah, man, great show tonight, guys. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate everybody in the chat. Shout out to the replay gang. Queen, you back Thursday or you still okay? You
I don't think
only
I can do a. I'll let you know if anything comes. But I doubt if I'll do a lunchtime show this week. But I'll definitely be on Thursday 9 o'clock for the weekly show.
sounds good. Shuttle, anything going on? Any
Uh,
day parties before? You know what I mean? Before
Day party would be
the winter breaks.
oh man, we had one in Long Island yesterday.
for real. Come on, Shuttle.
Oh man, come
You
on.
be telling me about the Wednesday midnight. I'm old, but you won't tell me about the Saturday day party. I mean,
that was after work day party over at 10:30.
That's what's up.
Yeah, but last night though, I don't know if you guys familiar with Nautical Mile in Freeport, Long Island. It's like a bootleg South Beach strip, Long Island version of that. Nothing but different spots, food, restaurants, bars, and so promoters had me booked to rock out there last night. We had a couple of DJs, super lit all day. We went from 3 to 11.
Nice.
And yeah, I'm not gonna give the venue any promo because they're not paying, but yeah, shout to them. Everything was smooth, everything was nice, and yeah, man, it's just one of those things where it's very seasonal. So Labor Day weekend is like the whole summer builds up to Labor Day weekend, and I'm sure it's pretty lit out there today too. Eastern Parkway, obviously Brooklyn. Everybody's doing that, but if you're not, you're in Long Island, you're on that Nautical Mile enjoying yourself. So yeah, we had a great time, man. I got a promoter hitting me up about availability for this Friday. So I can't yeah, man, definitely super salute to Scoop. I definitely played some Fat Man Scoop records last night and did super shout outs and everybody went crazy. And truly, Fat Man Scoop, truly an inspiration to me personally, and obviously an inspiration to many. Like that Fat Man Scoop, that voice come on in a party, and if you were sitting down, if you were sleeping, if you was on your phone, it's just an energy and excitement. He was just a voice, man. Like that was incredible, and good catch, Fulio, to make mention of that.
For sure. R.I.P. Fat Man Scoop. But on that note, man, I'm gonna get out of here. I appreciate you guys. Great show, great turnout.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Mitch,
until next
stay
time.
healthy. Mitch, stay healthy.
We need you.
OG too. Stay healthy.
Well, yeah, well, now I don't know OG status, but I'm gonna do some homework on that. But I keep hearing things coming up. Mitch. Not gonna be ready for the season, not ready for training camp. I haven't heard anything like that about OG.
Yeah, but OG could be ready and go down the next day. So
Come on, Steph. Oh, Steph, I got a condition. When you start saying those things. Oh man.
Oh man. Yeah, and yeah, they saying the speculation Randle as well. We don't know the timeline on him, but
yeah.
I'm
First 10 games are tough. If we don't have 100% healthy Mitch, if Randall's struggling out the game, I mean, we'll be okay over the course of a season, though.
Yeah. But until next week or until Thursday, if I make the show with the Queen,
Appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys. Shout out to the chat, replay gang, Yo Black is time. We out.
Peace.